Curt Hennig, but to you people, I'm Mr. Perfect. And I know a lot of you people sitting there right now wonder what it's like to go through life without making any mistakes. No blemishes, no flaws, from head to toe, absolutely perfect. Yes, being perfect, it has its boring times, like a simple game of billiards. Well, fool to you common people. Like I said,
Hey, Curt Hennig fans. Hello and welcome to another episode of Nobody Beats Curt Hennig, Nobody. I am your host, Mrs. Witchy Perfect. We're back for episode 144, and I have some articles, some things I really need to go over today. So it's going to be more news than it is, the main event is only 5 minutes, but it is the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering versus the Hennigs and The Crusher. So Larry and Curt Hennig and The Crusher. So let's get to our first story today. Yes, everyone probably already knows this. If you don't, if you haven't seen the headlines, I saw this on X, and I actually thought this was a rib. I actually thought this was AI generated, and it was all fake. For those who don't know, or you haven't really been reading up on wrestling news, now I'm actually recording this as of May 30th. So you guys are going to see this in like the middle late to June. So you probably, if you already know, that's fine. Trigger warning. I may cry because it doesn't seem real to me, though I know he's a real person. He has emotions, he has feelings, and all right, let's just get to it, and then I'll explain myself. All right, so for those who don't know, Joe Hennig was arrested for a DUI. Apparently, he had an altercation at the McDonald's drive-thru. He accidentally, apparently, according to the cops, he was intoxicated, and unfortunately, like I said, this doesn't seem real to me. Okay. To me, I feel like, one of my kids got in trouble, and now I'm like, I'm playing like the mom role, like you're trying to defend your kid, but yet, your kid messed up. Right. Cause I feel like, Curt was my role model. So, and Joe felt the same way about his dad. So, we share the same common, our role model was Curt. His dad, of course, was his role model and best friend. And well, I didn't know Curt, so I would say that he was just my role model and my idol. So, I if anything, I wish I could have met Curt and I could have, told him how much of a role model he was for my life. So anyway, let's read a little of this. Third generation wrestler is alleged to have backed into a car with an open container of vodka in his vehicle. Of course, you can read that top. Arrested for DUI after drive-through. Word is spreading today, May 28th. This is when this really hit the fan, so to speak. That third generation pro wrestler Joe Hennig, who worked as NXT and the Nexus Michael McGillicuddy and Paul Heyman guy, and B Team member Curtis Angle for WWE from 2007 to 2020, is facing several misdemeanor charges stemming from an incident at a Minnesota McDonald's drive-thru on May 17th. So this actually happened on the 17th, and we just found out about it, like almost 10 days later. It's crazy, and I understand, like, it's these reporters' jobs, but sometimes, just keep the stuff to yourself. No, I'm not making excuses. I'm not trying to make excuses for Joe because, it's going to get into more detail here. But anyway, we'll keep going. The Watch Minnesota reports Hennig was charged with DWI, which is driving under the influence, I think. I'm not sure what the W is for, but I always know it as a DUI. So there we go. For refusing to submit to a chemical test. the thing is, you don't have to take those. I'm not sure what the laws are in Minnesota, but I know there's this lawyer guy that I watch, trigger warning for, and I'm not trying to get into politics, guys. I'm not really into that whole thing. I just don't like how the police think that they are authorities over us. And I'm not saying what Joe did was good. I'm not saying what happened here was, entirely the cop's fault. But the one report I read is that they reached into his car and shut off the engine. They can't do that. Okay, that is private property. And the cops do not, if they do not have consent to reach into your car, it would be like a stranger walking up to your car, reaching in and turning the engine off. They can't do that, right? That's invasion of privacy. And it's, well, first of all, you're touching private property. So even for the cops, they can't do that either. Okay. And again, I don't know any Minnesota laws. I don't live in Minnesota. I live in Pennsylvania. I know the Pennsylvania laws. So, just be aware. And if you have to, look up the local laws for, what police can and cannot do. But I know for sure in pretty much every state, they can't reach into your car and turn off the engine. Doesn't matter if you're drunk or not. So trigger warning to all those who, you like cops and stuff. Unfortunately, I do not, because I have heard too many horror stories of people being hurt by the police. And the one report, I don't know if it's in this report or not, but the one report that I read actually said that they wrestled him to the ground. So that, especially if that was one of my kids, I would be like, I don't care how old he is. My son, he'll be 10 this year, but I don't care how old my son is. You touch my son, now you got to deal with me. I don't care if you're a cop or not. And again, I don't like cops because they think they own everybody. And again, we're not going to spend too much time on this, but I just wanted to kind of give a little report about this. But yeah, I don't like cops because they get away with way too much. And trust me, if this was my son, literally, I would be furious. Okay. I don't care. You ordered him out of the car. Okay, great. He said no. Now, I'm not sure what the Minnesota law is, but I think in Pennsylvania, if the cop orders you out of the car, you have to get out, and try not to resist, because if the cop does anything to you and you're not resisting, also videotape. It will help you better when you get to court. If the cop is being rough with you or being belligerent towards you or whatever, even if you're drunk, I don't care if you're drunk. If the cop is literally wrestling you to the ground and you're not resisting, then that cop is the one with the problem. Okay. And I hope you get it on videotape so that you can show this in court and say, look, I wasn't resisting and the cop was doing this or that and the other thing. Okay. That's not what happened here, though. Like I said, I know in Pennsylvania, you can refuse to take a breathalyzer. And I don't think the cops can do anything. Again, I know nothing about Minnesota laws. I don't live in Minnesota. I would love to, visit Minnesota maybe once in my lifetime. Maybe. Because I would like to go to my hero's grave. Okay, I'll say it. I can say it now. But you know what? It's taken me a long time to even admit that, he's gone. And I'm talking about Curt. Because it was such a shock when it happened that, it's how do you cope with that? So, and it took me many, many years to understand and to kind of heal from all that. Because he was such a big part of my life, being my idol and stuff. And I wish I could have met Curt and had a good, maybe a friendship with him. And, gotten to know him and Joe and Amy and Katie and, of course, Hank. So anyway, we're just going to read a little bit more here. Police report obtained. Officers were sent to the McDonald's in St. Francis in response to a property damage caused by one vehicle backing into another in the drive-thru. When they arrived, they found the 46-year-old Hennig slowly walking the parking lot parking lot with bloodshot and watery eyes. His speech was allegedly slurred, and there was an open bottle of vodka in his vehicle. Okay, keep going here. When instructed to step out of the vehicle, Hennig reportedly refused. Officers subsequently opened the door, reached inside, and turned off the engine. Now, again, I don't believe that cops can do that. I mean, if he refused to get out of the car, then you don't have the right to reach in. And like I said, it would be like if a stranger walked up to Joe's car, like a fan or something, and just reached into his car and started playing with the engine or whatever. As far as I know, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that varies from state to state. But I do not think that the cops have a right to at least put their hand in your window and turn off the engine. That is not okay. Okay. So please, please, please look up your local rights on what the cops can and cannot do. All right. And place the keys on the passenger seat. Again, you can't do that. That's private property. After continued defiance, officers physically removed Hennig from the truck, escorted him to the ground, and handcuffed him. Basically, they pulled him out of the car or the truck. They literally pulled him out and wrestled him to the ground. And like I said, this is where I would go into mom mode because, yeah, no. In my opinion, you just can't do that. That's not okay. Okay. So anyway, let's keep going here. While seated in the squad car, officers read the breathalyzer advisory. Hennig alleged refused. The thing responded with profanities, including "I don't give a shite" and "F you" and "UF." I mean, he's obviously he's being detained. So yeah. Anyway, Hennig worked for the WWE in 2022 when he spent time as part-time producer. He's only wrestled once since his release last year in a tag match for a local Minnesota indie. He's also a husband and father of 3, whose own father, WWE Hall of Famer Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig, died of addiction at just 44 years old. First of all, it wasn't addiction. Okay. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. But whatever. So here we go with, like I said, know your local laws, but we did have to touch on this because, I'm sure Curt, wherever he is, I wouldn't say that, he loves Joe, I'm sure. And, as a parent, I can speak as a parent because I am one. If this was my child, I would be severely disappointed. But as a mother, if you wrestle my son to the ground, guess what? You're going to feel my wrath. I don't care who you are. I don't care what my child did because I will deal with him later. But no, I don't like when, I wouldn't like that strangers have touched my child at all. I don't care who you are, cop or no cop. You don't touch my child. Okay. Because I would be telling my child, just do what he says. And if he's rough with you, I will get it on tape and we will show a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. Okay. First of all, Curt was never behind the wheel when he was drunk. Okay. I have never heard of such a thing. Not in all of the interviews I have seen, whether that's with any other wrestler that I know of. The one interview I did see with the Berserker or John Nord, he said that, Curt and him were drinking at 15 and he sort of got caught by his dad, and his dad didn't like that because, he didn't like drinking. Now, we all know Curt would drink. That was kind of his thing. He liked to drink a beer or two, and he would gargle. What is it? Jack Daniels. Yeah, and I was watching something with AI, and I just love how the AI contradicts itself. It's like, oh well, Curt was found. He was alive at 9:30 in the hotel room because one of the referees he was friends with came to see him, but he went to sleep and never woke up. Well, which is it? He went to sleep last night and never woke up, or he was alive at 9:30. Which is it? You can't have it both ways. So I think this is a good lesson for all those. Please don't, if you're going to drink, get an Uber, get a taxi, whatever you have to do, a friend, whatever. I feel the same way about this because every day there's someone who could seriously injure me and my son if he's in the car with me. And I think Joe knows this. Joe knows this, that his father would never get behind a wheel of a car after after drinking. His father would be safe because it's not just you're taking your own life into your hands, but if someone hits you or you hit someone and you're intoxicated, guess what? You could really seriously hurt them or even fatally hurt them. So, I take that risk every time I'm in the car with my son, and I try to drive as carefully as I can when my son is in the car, because again, he's my precious cargo. I know Dutch Mantel had a granddaughter who was hit by a drunk driver, and she is no longer with us. So in my hopes, I would hope that this is a learning experience for him. Yeah, he screwed up, but I just don't like the cops. I don't like any cops, let alone Minnesota cops, right? Because I just think cops are lapdogs for rich people. That's my opinion. Maybe there are some good cops out there. Maybe there aren't. I don't know. But I wouldn't trust a cop as far as I could throw him. And that's not very far. So, but to be honest, we're here today to, bring awareness to this, that, yeah, I'm not making excuses for Joe, but he did lose his best friend and his dad. And I'm sure he still lives with that every day. And I know wherever Curt is, he loves him very much. And he loves all his kids very much. That never ended. Okay. That never ended one iota. Just because Curt passed. I will love my son even beyond my passing. When I go, I will love my son and my man beyond when I leave this earthly realm, I guess you could say. When that happens, hopefully I won't be as young as Curt, but okay. Sorry. But I think for Joe, I think this is just a mistake. I think he might have been upset about something. And, when you're upset, you don't think right. And again, I'm not making excuses for him because this is not good behavior. This is not how, I don't think Curt would come down hard on him. Not too hard, but he would this is dumb. This is stupid. You should have done this. You should have thought before, but when you lose your head and you're upset, and some of us kick pillows or punch pillows and stuff, some people just, they go to drinking, or they go to another way of dealing with that hurt, or when they're upset. So I'm not going to judge Joe, because I think Joe is a great person. And I just think that he has a lot of things on his shoulders, like a lot of burdens, I'm sure. Honestly, how he was treated by the WWE was sort of how his father was treated, if not worse. Because, Curt made himself a star, whereas I don't think they gave Joe any time. They didn't give him any time to do anything. They gave him a really crappy gimmick. Michael McGillicuddy? What's that? I don't even know what that is. I don't want to know. Okay. But anyway, when he was Curtis Axel, he was trying to, give a tribute to his dad. And that's something I think that should be rewarded and not punished. And I just feel like, Joe was punished for something that maybe Curt did or didn't do, or that he wasn't Curt, All right. We spent enough time on this, so I'm going to stop sharing that one because, again, it's just too heartbreaking to see. And again, I'm not going to judge Joe. I'm not going to say that he shouldn't have done it. I totally agree with that. He should not have done it. But there comes a time in your life where you don't judge people because, what do the Christians say? Because I'm not Christian. Everyone should know that. Judge not unless thee be judged, right? So I think that Joe, we love Joe very much and we want him to succeed in all things. So I wish him great luck. And I hope that this is a learning experience for him and that he remembers next time when you lose your head, I understand you're upset, but you can't lose it that much. You can't lose it like that. Okay. So let's get off that subject and talk about LA Knight. We're just going to do a few things like this because I have a lot to talk about. So we have LA Knight. They've ruined LA Knight, apparently. Or they ruined LA Knight. I'm all I'm going to say about that. So, yeah, take it away, James. Go ahead.
Hello all, James here. Now, LA Knight made his first significant appearance in a while on this past episode of WWE Raw on Monday, and I almost wished he hadn't bothered because it kind of highlights just how far his star has fallen in the past 6 months, and it is not his fault. It's WWE's fault, but we'll get to that in a minute. First off, LA Knight might well have got the weakest ovation I've seen him or heard him get in years when his music hit. And then he got into the ring and it just got worse from there on. Paused for chants, holding the microphone to the crowd, like in the most obvious manner possible, and barely anything came back to him, at least compared to months of old. Anyway, the crowd were bad anyway for Raw on Monday, but because that was a pretty bad show, really, ultimately speaking, aside from the opener, which is a really good match. But that's another WWE issue, but it's still pretty stunning to just hear or not hear the fans cheering for LA Knight like they did in months prior. Now, LA Knight immediately launches into it's been a minute since I've last been out here cutting promos in front of a crowd. And you know what? It has been a minute. In fact, more specifically, it's been 7 weeks since LA Knight did anything even remotely of any consequence whatsoever on WWE Raw. And that was the Raw before WrestleMania. So LA Knight, in his promo, he thanks the servicemen and women, and it's American Memorial Day. Then or at least the weekend was, he announces he's going for the King of the Ring and then going after Roman Reigns' WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then Knight calls Reigns the most corrupt champion in WWE, and he said he's twisting the melon of Jimmy and Jey Uso as well to rekindle a kind of bloodline of old. And the audience are almost deathly silent for this as well. And then Jimmy Uso comes out and talks a lot. Basically, Jimmy says it isn't going to be 3-on-1 if you end up facing Roman Reigns because we like you, kind of thing. But then Knight says something about Jimmy being Roman Reigns' errand boy, and Jey is a hothead, so he doesn't trust him as much as he trusts Jimmy, I guess. But then Jimmy got angry, and then blah, 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 blah. There's no fighting or anything, but then he kind of setting something up for the future. Anyway, this just seems to go on forever. It's probably only like 7 minutes or something, but it's one of those segments that just won't end. And the crowd are dead for the entirety of it, practically. They seem to either be teasing an LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso match, which nobody could possibly be interested in, or maybe an LA Knight versus Roman Reigns title match in the future, which for my money doesn't seem that likely. No. And if it actually does happen, then I very much can see Roman Reigns winning it. LA Knight will just end up losing. I'd bet the farm on it.
Poor LA Knight. He's always losing no matter what he does. That poor guy. I feel so bad for him.
LA Knight would lose the big one yet again. Here's my point. A few months ago, fans were molten for LA Knight. By WrestleMania 42, Knight was in a throwaway 6-man tag opener to highlight iShow speed. Really, is all that match was for, especially because it was on the opening hour and therefore it was broadcast on ESPN at the same time. So since WrestleMania 42, LA Knight has either briefly been seen backstage or not on the show at all. And it seems to me that WWE has finally done what maybe they set out to achieve here, and that is devalue LA Knight. Why? I don't know. But I'm really struggling to see any other way how this isn't on purpose. Because, and things can always change, as we always know in wrestling, but I've rarely seen such effective booking if the goal was to make fans not give a crap about LA Knight going forward. It's almost befuddling me, really, this is, unless it's on purpose. And then if it's on purpose, why is it on purpose? But since he left Maximum Male Models, LA Knight then reinvented himself as a fast-talking babyface with a catchphrase and hints of Austin and Rock and Attitude Era and all that kind of thing thrown in. And it became a big deal with fans. But for whatever reason, WWE never really went all the way with it. He would get a big win here and there, but it would always be counteracted with a big loss. And then LA Knight, for the most part, was just always mired somewhere in the mid-card to upper mid-card. Never quite ever a main eventer. Then toward the end of last year, Knight was put on the shelf in storyline by The Vision, and more specifically, Bronson Reed, after Bronson Reed splashed Knight, who was on the roof of a car. I'm not quite sure how that makes it hurt so much more, but whatever. Anyway, he was then written off television for like another 6, I think it was actually 7 weeks again, when 1 or 2 weeks would have absolutely sufficed and not killed off LA Knight's momentum. But by the time he'd returned at the Royal Rumble, the LA Knight and Vision feud was pretty much dead in the water anyway, not least because Bronson Reed got injured and then Bron Breakker would follow. Around this time, WWE Unreal Series 2 came out. And one of the episodes highlighted LA Knight screwing up a finish to the Money in the Bank ladder match, where him and Seth Rollins were fighting to get up the ladder, being the last two, essentially. He was on the bubble. Anyway, it was nowhere near a bigger screw-up as apparently, or calamity as Triple H and the agents were making it seem, because LA Knight wasn't even winning anyway. And it's not like he just, dropped his trunks and did a big poo on the canvas. It really wasn't that big of a deal at all. But basically, the show saw Hunter browbeat LA Knight, not in a nasty way, but in a, I'm so disappointed because we were doing all this for you kind of way.
Yeah.
By the way, if WWE actually was doing something for LA Knight, he probably would have won the match. I'm just saying, if that's really if they were going to do something for him, instead
if you want to do something for him, let him win once in a while. Okay, so we're going to stop sharing there, guys, because I need to get to the next topic. And I mean, we only have a set amount of time that I want to do this. I want to keep this around an hour. So Vince McMahon royally screwed up. We're going to find out more about that. So let me get that up here. All right, take it away, James. How did Vince McMahon screw up?
Hello all, James here. Now, there's been another development in one of several legal cases that Vince McMahon is currently involved in. And no, it's not anything directly to do with Janelle Grant this time. And no, it's nothing to do with the Ring Boy scandal lawsuit either, which recent decision to keep the Ring Boys anonymous went in favor of the plaintiff. So I'll be covering that in a future video as well. This one, once again, pertains to the WWE TKO shareholders lawsuit, which is coming up very, very soon. It's coming up to trial. A judge just handed a major, major loss to the Vince McMahon camp, which also includes WWE President Nick Khan, WWE's Chief Creative Officer Triple H, Paul Levesque, and former WWE board members George Barrios and Michelle Wilson. Now, they were sacked in 2020 by Vince McMahon, only to be rehired in January 2023 by Vince McMahon. Very, very soon after he returned to WWE, by the way, to, quote, facilitate the company's sale. Anyway, Vice Chancellor J. Travis Lasser of the Delaware Court of Chancery has decided that Vince McMahon and the rest of the defendants, plus Stephanie McMahon and former WWE Chief Operating Officer Brad Bloom, or Blum, it's spelled Blum, used a messaging app called Signal in order to conceal communications, very important communications in regard to the sale/merger of WWE when they were expressly told not to. Nick Khan directed people to use the app via a text message that was accessible in Discovery by writing Lingas and told everyone to read it backwards, a near incomprehensible cipher that the plaintiffs eventually managed to crack. And I guess it was also Nick Khan, although I'm not absolutely sure of this, who actively directed all the people that I mentioned to turn on the auto-delete feature for their messages that's a part of Signal. Anyway, let's say that this was rather a conflict of interest very much. And furthermore, WWE officers were told to keep their communications available. Explicitly, they were told this for public record. Now, this all relates to the WWE TKO shareholders lawsuit. As I said, I won't go through it all again because I did do a video on it a couple of months ago explaining it in depth. But these are the main points. After Vince McMahon retired and then returned to help facilitate the sale of the company, WWE, at the beginning of 2023, which couldn't happen without him because Vince owned the majority of the voting shares in the company, WWE started fielding offers for an outright purchase of the company. Now, WWE received several credible offers through this, but Vince ended up choosing to go with Endeavor, which would see an all-stock merger that brought together WWE, UFC, which at the time was owned by Zuffa, Pro Bull Riders, and then after, this is in later on when it was formed, Zuffa Boxing, as well as under the TKO corporate umbrella, IMG, which is a sports marketing management agency, and also the on-location ticketing service. They're all part of TKO now as well. All WWE shareholders became TKO shareholders when the merger happened, and some were unhappy with Vince's choice to go with what they saw as maybe the worst possible suitor out of all of them, at least in the immediate, rather than going with a higher money offer. And for the record, the offers were these. Liberty Media. Now, Liberty Media has interests in Formula One, other motorsports, that kind of thing, as well as Live Nation. They offered $95 to $100 per WWE share. It was entirely a cash offer. Same with KKR, but with a slightly less amount of money per share as well. KKA is a global investment firm. And base 10 was an offer of stock and a cash mix with $76.83 per WWE share. Base 10 was AEW boss Tony Khan's vehicle for the purchase and the offer. Now, Tony Khan admitted he was flying completely blind. It was a blind bid, essentially. So he offered what he thought was fair market value for it. But ultimately, Liberty Media and KKR offered far better initial offers than Endeavor's initial buyout proposal of $88.43 a share, but it's a cash and stock election thing. But that was their first offer, by the way. Anyway, Endeavor returned with an all-stock company merger offer after this.
Right. Okay. So again, we're going to stop sharing there. Again, we are on a time schedule. So yeah. So some breaking news for the Vince McMahon lawsuit. And again, nothing to do with, Grant or that whole situation. Next one is WWE. Will WWE destroy AEW's TV deal? Let me get that up for you. So we're going to talk about that. Again, trigger warning for anyone who likes AEW. I unfortunately do not. I'm sorry. I can't get into it. I tried. Can't. All right, here we go.
Hello all, James here. Now, the death of AEW, at least as a major force in the wrestling landscape, could potentially really be in jeopardy. Nothing to do with the booking or the ticket sales or who's the champion, but due to corporate consolidation and self-serving interest in the television and combat sports landscape beyond Tony Khan's control or influence. Now, this is all in regard to AEW's television rights deals with Warner Brothers Discovery coming up at the end of 2027, or toward the end of 2027. And more importantly, Warner Brothers Discovery's new owners, Paramount Skydance, or they will officially be the new owners in a couple of months, having a more vested interest in TKO properties. Now, due to outside forces above even the Khan family's pay grade, potential collusion behind the scenes now makes it a possibility that Turner Broadcasting Stations and HBO Max, soon to be fully under the control of Paramount Skydance, may no longer host AEW programming by the end of 2027. Now, this is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while, but because there's nothing even remotely concrete yet, I've hesitated. But now, since Tony Khan himself has addressed the rumors that AEW could potentially be removed from WBD stations in 2027, I thought I'd give you the lowdown of how we got to this point. So, this is in 2025, but Paramount, Skydance, and Netflix were both bidding for Warner Brothers Discovery, which owns Warner Brothers Motion Pictures Group, DC Studios, the Discovery Channel, whatever, and the streaming stuff as well. A bunch of other streaming services like HBO Max, which streams, of course, AEW programming, numerous cable television stations, everything from CNN to the Cartoon Network. It all includes, and the Food Network as well as other stuff, but it includes the entire Turner Broadcast Network family, which airs AEW domestically. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery, this is a very important point, is also hideously in debt to the tune of somewhere between $32 and $38 billion with a B. They had to find a buyer. So Netflix for a while looked to be the front runners, offering to pay Warner Brothers to actually buy Warner Brothers and HBO and the streaming assets, not everything, not some of the cable stations and whatnot, valued at around $82.7 billion, while Paramount countered with a full company purchase buyout of all their assets for around $30 per share, around $108.4 billion. That's the enterprise value anyway. They eventually upped their offer for a total buyout of $31 per share to roughly 110 or slightly above that, I think, $billion all told. Now, there are also rumors that a lawsuit settled with President Donald Trump with a CBS and something that a journalist said may have somehow influenced WBD picking Paramount Skydance over Netflix. And there was also other issues with infrastructure with Netflix, and they were giving less money up front, and it may have been a more complicated issue with rights. There were other reasons as well, but essentially, there's been rumors that the president may have got involved in this as well, but that's not proven. But anyway, here's what matters, is that Paramount Skydance in a couple of months, I think like the middle of July, will be taking over all WBD properties. So why is this a problem for AEW? Well, ultimately, WBD is heavily in debt for one, and AEW have a Plum Broadcasting deal, but that's not really the big issue here. The big issue is that Paramount's Skydance recently got into bed by paying TKO a preposterously overpriced rights deal for UFC's numbered pay-per-views. They were formerly pay-per-views. Now they're just given away for free if you have Paramount, the streaming Paramount Plus, as well as 30 fight nights for a colossal $7.7 billion over the course of 7 years. Now, Paramount, Skydance, the new owners of Turner Broadcasting, and TKO, the owners of UFC and WWE, have a direct connection, and some might suggest a major influence within the corporation. And this is where it gets more theoretical, but it's not. It's now going beyond that, really, to a point. The theory is that TKO's influence could be strong enough within the Paramount Skydance family to convince other arms of the corporation to drop AEW or just not renew them when it comes time, either to be replaced with WWE programming or just drop them outright, or even not even wait till the TV rights are done and just get rid of them quickly. I don't know. There's all sorts of different suggestions out there. I mean, but you can imagine what the WWE or TKO might say. It's like, why do we need more wrestling in Paramount Skydance? We have already the market leader under our umbrella. Why do we need anything else? But anyway, certain people with connections to the wrestling and television industry, no more prominent than agent Nick LoPiccolo, have been claiming for many months now that, quote, the real story is that AEW is going to lose its WBD distribution deal. We don't know that at all at this point. Once again, these are all just rumors floating around, but it's enough of a worry that Tony Khan addressed the speculation not too long ago at a Ring of Honor, I think it's like Supercard of Honor post-show media scrum. Quote, I saw a report today that somebody in WWE is telling people within WWE talking about AEW's next television deal and talking about what we're doing. And I was surprised by that. All I'll say is what they said could not be further from the truth. They are entitled to their opinions. I've been trying to be respectful to them and try to conduct myself as a gentleman. Then for them to go on background and spread these things, I'll just turn the other cheek. Maybe a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have done it like that. Fightful also, to support Tony Khan's claims, Fightful also reported that both AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery have publicly refuted the claims recently that AEW's cancellation is imminent. So ultimately, Tony Khan believes that since the merger was announced, WWE have been going on a smear campaign against AEW behind the scenes and hopefully filtering into the wider media, which kind of is to a point, to further the rumors and even potentially wish AEW being thrown off Turner Broadcasting channels into reality, I guess. WWE are also not above going after AEW in certain ways, and quite frankly, vice versa as well. The example I like to give with this is that WWE used to release the fast national television ratings. These are kind of made up from, like, I don't know, like the top 10 or top 20, like, most popular cities, and then they kind of gauge what the national viewership is going to be from that. It's always wildly different to the actual final number, though, so they're completely useless. But WWE were the only ones getting the fast nationals for all the wrestling programming, including AEW. If the numbers benefited WWE, WWE would release those numbers. And if they didn't benefit WWE, they wouldn't. Anyway, there are reasons why these are just rumors. Number one is that nobody knows. And two, it's still a really long way away, I guess. But whether they are being spread by WWE or not, these rumors, they're hopefully just that. Rumors. And I say hopefully because it will be an absolute disaster should WWE succeed in shuffling off AEW from Turner Broadcasting stations and HBO Max, because wrestling needs competition. For goodness, how many times have we learned this over and over again? Just for someone with too big of an ego to just want to destroy, immolate the competition, have it like a war of attrition kind of thing in their minds only. And then ultimately, everybody loses. Even Vince McMahon bitterly regretted the death of WCW. And he's the king of destroying other promotions purely for his own ego. Now, wrestling thrives when there are viable alternatives. We all know this as longer time wrestling fans, if you are indeed one. It's good for the wrestlers. It's good for their bank accounts. It's good to have different styles on television to serve different fans. It's a great way for wrestling.
Right. So we're going to stop sharing there. Just wanted to do that. I don't think that AEW is going anywhere, but that's just me. As far as I know, it is here to stay as long as Tony Khan is willing to put the money into it. So we'll just have to deal, I guess. All right. So the last topic I want to talk about is Ric Flair is in the hot water again. Ric Flair's latest Twitter meltdown is pathetic. I guess he wants to sue David Flair. I don't know why you would try to sue your own son, but here we go. Take it away, James.
Hello, everybody. James here. More importantly, hello, everybody. Peanut Shell here, because it's a Ric Flair. So it is a Ric Flair story, so it might as well do the Ric Flair nickname. I'm sorry about my voice. It's completely gone. You're going to be shocked here. Anyway, so Ric Flair, the Nature Boy himself, went on, would you believe, a Twitter meltdown once again yesterday. And then he's deleted all the tweets since. But luckily, myself and others have all screenshot every single one of them so we can piece them all together and get the full story here. And really, ultimately, I'm still wondering quite what the heck this was about in the first place, because it just doesn't make very much sense. But seemingly he was threatening a family member. I'm going to tell you which one, and I'm going to tell you why. But here is the first of these tweets, all from yesterday, by the way, all deleted since. From Twitter, unfortunately, there is someone that I'm very familiar with using my own trademark, Flair. I would like anyone who is using my trademarks, which are impossible to own, and I own mine, to know that I'm well represented by a reputable $1,000 per hour attorney.
Yeah, well, no offense, Flair, but I think, is this a drunken stupor? Because I wouldn't go after my own son, okay? How much of a dirtbag do you have to be to go after your own son? I mean, seriously. I mean, really? Really? You're going to go after your own son? Okay, here we go.
That makes a living suing people. I mean, isn't that a lot of attorneys? But anyway, that abuse my trademark. You know who I'm talking about. I hope you can clear this up by Monday. And if we can't resolve this issue, read the penalties. And Rick has helpfully screenshot the Google Gemini, like his Google penalty for brand infringement. I'm not sure it's him because they aren't capitalized words. But anyway, penalties for brand trademark infringement, blah, 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 civil penalties, blah, 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 which he helpfully threw in there as well. Not only does he know how to capitalize every word, that might be a setting on his phone, I don't know, or he maybe painstakingly does it, but he knows how to take a screenshot from his phone as well, which is more impressive. I guess most people in their 70s don't know, but anyway, immediately Flair is boasting he has $1,000 an hour lawyer, which tells me he doesn't actually have a lawyer, at least on staff. He just knows the name of a lawyer who is willing to overcharge him enormously, $1,000 per hour, which means with $1,000 as well, that means at least one waitress at a pizza joint somewhere is not getting her tip, even if Ric Flair does put the place over. This is, by the way he's phrased all this and included the screen grab is like, this is great granddad stuff. It's really weird. Googling penalty for brand infringement and letting Google's notoriously awful Gemini AI inform the relevant parties as to the penalties. A cease and desist letter. This is not, by the way, but Rick also describes this person as somebody he's very familiar with. The person he's talking about is his son, David. Now, I don't know if he's bragging that he's familiar with his own son or not, but it brings to mind the message from a few weeks ago where he said nobody was allowed to criticize his daughters for any reason. It's around, here we go, number 3. And I made mention of this a while ago, thinking it was quite weird that he said it this way. He was talking about stuff with Ariel Helwani. But anyway, number 3, no one will ever criticize or make any attempt to judge my daughters or say anything about them. And immediately I was thinking, what about your son? I mean, he had 2 sons. Obviously, Reed died. But, what about your son? Does that mean it's open season on David? Well, apparently it is. I was wondering, well, is it just an estrangement then? Or maybe they've got a blip in the relationship. It turns out there's an estrangement going on from the second of 3 tweets. The relationship was gone 9 years ago. I'm sorry and sad that it has come to this. Apparently, it's come to this. I've tried my best to fix things over the years, only to be rejected because your wife runs your life. And then there's a logo of Green Flair. Now, that belongs to Green Flair Recycling. We'll get to that in a second. But I like how Ric Flair...
I hate to break this to Flair, but you can't even keep a wife because you literally sleep with anything with, boobs and, the lower extremities. So I would not even talk, Flair. I mean, this is your son. I don't care if you guys have an estranged relationship. He is your son. But, okay, so you can't say anything about my daughters, but it's open season on my son? I'm sorry, but... And trigger warning for anyone who likes Ric Flair, but Ric Flair should not be a dad. If my man acted like this towards his son, I would literally divorce him. That is your son. How do you, if Curt were still with us today, how do you think he'd be very upset with Joe, but do you think he would estrange him? Do you think he would not bail him out of jail? Are you kidding me? Curt would have been the first one in that jail getting Joe out of there. For heaven's sakes. He's your son. That's just my opinion. Sorry, guys. Trigger warning for those who like Ric Flair. I don't like Ric Flair, and this is why. I don't think he should have been a father in the first place. This is absolutely horrific. I don't care if you're in a drunken stupor. That is your son. Act like it. I would do anything for my son. If my son needed a kidney, I'd cut it out myself. I would do anything for my son or daughter when I have one. But my son is my world, and I will do anything for him. I don't care how old he is. I said this with Joe. I don't care how old. If Joe was my son, I don't care how old he is. I would be at that jail. I would literally get him out as soon as I could. Now, yes, I would tell him that he screwed up. But my love for my son is unconditional, period. That is it. That is the making of a good parent. You will sacrifice for your kids, and if your kids screw up, guess what? You're right there to help them and love them, not sue them over frivolous things. My goodness. All right, more of this.
Claims that he's the one who's been trying his best to fix things. Like, I'm suspecting that somehow he's ruined things, by the way, but the way he says it, it's like he's not the constant fucking problem in all these relationships. This is just someone looking from the outside in. But it seems that a lot of people have fallen out with Ric Flair over the years, and to listen to Rick describe it is always everybody else's issue. But anyway, he also seems to, in this, once again, blame David's wife on stopping the two rekindling their father-son relationship instead of, I guess, Rick maybe being the main issue. I don't know. You know, when everybody else is the arsehole, that it might actually be yourself that's the problem. That is how I'm reading this. But once again, there just needs to be so many people who have got issues with Ric Flair, and it's never his fault. Anyway, the real interesting thing here, and we're going to go back to this, is the Green Flair logo. Now, the logo belongs to Green Flair Recycling, which is owned by David Flair, which is actually, of course, Ric Flair's real surname, and that is his son, David Flair, and his wife, based in Shelby, North Carolina. Now, the business, whatever they do, I'm not quite sure still what they seem to do, but it's something to do with haulage, has apparently been in operation for over 10 years, by the way, and that's important. They have a fleet of 4 tractors. They own 3, lease 1, and 20 trailers and a few drivers on the books as well. So I'm figuring it's some sort of agricultural haulage or delivery or something like that. Since they've got drivers, I'm suspecting they don't actually rent out the tractors. That's my guess once again. There's so little information on that company. There was a website, but that leads to nothing. But they're based in North Carolina, and they operate in North and South Carolina. But the point is that Rick is clearly angry at that David and his wife are using the name Flair in the company name and logo that they've been using since 2015. Which strikes me as very, very odd that Rick would all of a sudden decide that this was a massive issue, 10 years after the fact, or even slightly over 10 years after the fact. But going back to the first tweet, pardon me. So back to Ric Flair's impossible ramblings from the first time, and it is a threat, by the way, and it's definitely a legal threat, because you don't say I've got a lawyer on staff or whatever, reputable lawyer who makes a living out suing people, and you've got till Monday to decide about this and have the screenshot accompanying as well. I don't know why Ric Flair all of a sudden is now so upset with his son and daughter-in-law that they are using the Flair name that they've been using for over 10 years at this point, aside from the fact that this holds absolutely no water whatsoever. Once again, I've got to just repeat this. I would like anyone who is using my trademarks, which are impossible to own, and I own mine. It's like he must have reread this back to himself and then thought, yep, that'll do. Then Flair mentions suing people who abuse his trademarks and says, clear it up by Monday. For starters, Ric Flair doesn't have a fucking trademark on the name or the word Flair, or else about 10,000 businesses in the United States, in the US, would be liable. It's just too common of a word, the word Flair, to trademark it in that way. I mean, search it for yourself. Go and register businesses in the US and type the word Flair and see how many registered businesses you get back in the search. Ric Flair may well own the trademark to Ric Flair, or maybe Nature Boy, or whatever else it might be. But he's also as much of a Flair as David is, i.e. he's not at all. And that is unless Rick has changed his legal name and I'm unaware. In fact, I'm going to just find out. Normally, Wikipedia is pretty good on this, where it says born so-and-so, but no, Richard Morgan Fleer, known professionally as Ric Flair. I know that's still Wikipedia, but still. That's not his name. His name is Richard Fleer. David's real name is David Fleer. But Rick wrestled as Ric Flair, and David charitably wrestled as David Flair as well. So basically, there is about as much of a Flair as each other. Basically, Rick is being a butthole yet again, and I don't know why, for whatever reason, that he tries to. Then, after all this, semi-walk everything back in yet another outright and accompany it with a complete lie in yet another deleted tweet. Quote, I'm obviously not suing my son, just reminding him that you can't have the best of both worlds. Once again, he has put penalty for brand infringement and then said, you've got till Monday to clear this up, and my lawyer will be in touch, who loves suing people for $1,000. But he isn't suing Absolutely not. How could you ever think that he was going to sue? Anyway, use your God-given name, Fleer, as in, well, his father's given name as well, which isn't worth a cup of coffee, or your wife's name, who has had 3 generations of success. Also, please don't sell my robes that I let you use during your career, as you have already sold one. You're 47 years old. Now stand upon your own 2 feet, please. So, yeah, so apparently David Flair, I guess, because they used the word 9 years or whatever, they've not spoke, so nearly a decade. So David Flair ignoring his father and apparently doesn't want anything to do with him, I guess, and hasn't for nearly a decade. Yet David is the one supposedly leeching off his father Rick, with naming a company after his own gimmick name as well as his father's. And I'll guarantee nobody has even heard of this company who's watching this video until today that you've ever heard this company, this Green Flair Recycling. But speaking of recycling, it's probably not quite maybe it's haulage, but maybe it's just like.
All right, we're gonna stop sharing there. Yeah, sorry if you heard some noise in the background. I was moving some stuff. All right, so we're gonna get to our main event. So I'm gonna take a 5-minute break, and I'll be back with you in 5. Well, just to clear that up, so I don't like Ric Flair, and as you can tell. I just the fact that he's upset with his son because he uses a Flair name. Again, Rick, you shouldn't have been a father. Okay, that's my opinion. But I don't care if my son uses my name or uses a different name or what. Trust me when I say I don't give a crap about what my son does with his wife. And first of all, at least your son has a wife that he's kept, because Ric Flair can't keep one. He's 0 for 5. So before you start pointing fingers, Flair, at your own son, because your son is happy with a woman and doesn't cheat on her like you did with every freaking wife you've ever had and your mistresses. For heaven's sake, he cheated on all his mistresses as well as his wives. He's got 5 of them, and he's 0 for 5. Imagine that. Here's a dude who can't see his own irony. All right. 5-minute break. I'll be back with our main event. All right, guys. We are back and ready for our main event. So here we go. The Road Warriors and Paul Ellering versus the Hennigs and The Crusher. Here we go.
The Warriors were a threatening team, but they would battle a team that backed down from no one. Let's go to 6-man tag team action.
Bottom rope strand, and Crush's Paul Ellering. Only contribution to the match so far has been to come over and try to jerk it down onto that apron. Oh, a tremendous shot to the chest area. 3 times from the second rope strand. The Hawk working over Larry the Axe. And now Curt Hennig is also coming into the match as we enter the 10-minute mark.
10 minutes.
Larry the Axe Hennig being worked to a fairly well in the corner of the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering. The Crusher and son Curt have been ushered back to their corner by referee Eddie Sharkey. All the time, Larry the Axe is paying a big price. And now takes a tremendous body slam. Oh, what a body slam put on him by the Animal. And it looked like it might be enough, but Larry says no. Absolutely no way. And he drills the Animal with a tremendous right hand to the midsection. Here is Curt Hennig now with a right hand of his own to the midsection of the Hawk. The Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, taking a lot of punishment in this one right here and now. Back body suplex put on young Curt Hennig by the Hawk. And Curt is certainly stunned. The Hawk. Oh, look at that body slam. It takes a man in tremendous shape to withstand punishment like that and be able to continue. And somehow, young Curt Hennig is. And he rifles away with a couple of what really are token shots to the midsection of the Animal right now. but he is on his feet, and now he's firing away with a bit more authority. And now he whips the animal across the ring, comes after him, and the animal gets out of the way. What a tremendously strong young man is Curt Hennig, but oh, what tremendous punishment he's taking now. 3 backbreakers by the animal. And how much more of this can this young man stand? The Crusher and Larry the Axe Hennig being ushered back to the corner again by referee Eddie Sharkey. Flying body slam now on Curt, but only a count of 2. How does he do it? Now, precious Paul Ellering makes his first entrance to give the Road Warriors, the Hawk and the Animal, a little bit of a blow as Curt Hennig is in deep, deep, deep trouble. And look at this. Curt Hennig reversing things on Paul Ellering. Here's a cover, a roll, but he could only get a count of 2. And why? Well, only because it was either the Hawk or the Animal. It was the Hawk who came in to his aid and to his rescue. Tremendous knee lift here by the Hawk on Curt Hennig, who is taking a tremendous amount of punishment. I don't mean to be redundant, but he is. Just second by second, he takes more and more and more, and how he's able to withstand, I'll never know. Watch this. One of the favorite moves of the Animal, where that shoulder of Curt Hennig came down on the thigh of the Animal, and back in comes precious Paul Ellering. Ellering trying to finish off Curt Hennig. There is a collision in the center of the ring with Curt Hennig and precious Paul Ellering. Both men are stunned. They're counting on them both. Ellering somehow grabs a hold of the ankle, but Curt Hennig has tagged off with his father, Larry the Axe, and there is the axe. Ellering may be knocked senseless. He is flat on his back in the center of the ring, not moving a muscle. The Crusher comes into the ring. The whip across the ring. The big back body drop by the Crusher, signaling the bolo. The 1,000 megaton bolo, there it is. The Crusher now quickly covers Paul Ellering, but both of the Road Warriors come in to the aid of their manager, and there is no count, but suddenly it's a free-for-all with all 6 men involved. The Crusher on Paul Ellering. Both the Road Warriors now working on Curt Hennig. Larry Hennig outside the ring, and a double elbow smash by the Road Warriors on Curt Hennig. And now suddenly both of the Road Warriors are catapulted up and over the top rope and out of the ring. Now a backhand, ladies and gentlemen. And now we have a cover in the center of the ring. It's all over as the Crusher.
Oh, they won.
Paul Ellering and the double axe attack. Curt and Larry Hennig and the Crusher have taken this 6-man tag from the Hawk, the Animal, and precious.
All right, we're going to stop sharing there. I hope you, that was a quickie, but I hope you enjoyed everything we did today and the topics we talked about. Please leave your comments in the comment section. Again, we have free speech here, so feel free to, do that. I'd like to thank you for joining me this week. And yes, it is the end of the week, or the end of this episode. Next week, I forgot we were going to do Rick Rude. We will do Rick Rude next week. I promise we will do Rick Rude next week. I hope you enjoyed this. And remember, everyone, nobody beats Mr. Perfect. Nobody. Thank you again for joining me. Have a great week, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Hey, Curt Hennig fans. Hello, and welcome to the Shameless Plugs. I wanted to do an updated version because I no longer have Patreon. I don't know if anyone has seen and down in the description field. The first shameless plug I would like to do is for my Cash App and my PayPal account. If you can donate, please, please, please donate today. I actually had one donation, but that was more for my birthday. So anyway, if you can donate, please see the links in the description field for my PayPal and my Cash App. I'd like to start off by saying also, and I will say this at the end, I have an AI outro that is AI generated. I actually made a country song dedicated to Curt. I made several. Just in case, there also maybe in the future or right now is going to be an AI intro. So I just want to let you know that the intro also could be AI, and this is for Amazon. Excuse me. This is for YouTube only. YouTube only. So the first shameless plug I would like to do is Kit Cabello. He is one of my great, great friends. Excuse me. I love him to death. And what a great man, great guy, all around great friend as well. You can catch him on Heartlands Media. That's 9 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday. And he will tell it like it is. Trust me, he will tell it like it is. Can't say enough great things about Kit Cabello. Also, check out Angel Riviera. He is in Angel in the Afternoon, and of course, he is my host for Pro Wrestling Talk. Pro Wrestling Talk is every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though those are scheduled to change due to family issues or WrestleMania or a pay-per-view. Also, I would like you to, but definitely check out Angel in the Afternoon. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And he also tells it like it is. Way to go, Angel. Okay, on to deconstructing topics. My big brother, Dave. I can't say enough great things about Dave. He is a big supporter of mine, and I'm a big supporter of him. If you check out Deconstructing Topics, he has his own show. I'm not sure what episode he's on right now, but he has a great podcast. Please, please, please listen to it. You can check it out on YouTube. I don't know if he's on Rumble, but I'll see if I can get a Rumble link. All these links are in the description field if you want to check these people out. Also, I'd like to mention my little kid brother, Alex Knight. We are actually not really related, but I see him like a little brother. So anyway, Alex Knight, you can find him on Angel in the Afternoon. You can also catch him on Pro Wrestling Talk. And I think he's going to do a baseball podcast with Angel as well. So check that out. That'll be on Sundays. I'm not sure the time. I'll have to get that from Angel later. But I just want to make sure that you check him out because he is a great person and someone I can call friend and little brother. The next shameless plug I'd like to do really fast is Black Magic Talk is my other show, guys. If you would like to check that out, all you have to do is click the link in the description field, and blessed be to you if you are also a witch, wizard, or warlock, or whatever you call yourself. You can check that out in the description field. We have a lot of fun over there. I love to have on special guests, especially Sonia Smith. She's a very dear friend of mine. I hope you will subscribe to all these people on YouTube or on Rumble. We are also on Rumble. The Rumble description field, the link is in the description field. Sorry. If you would like to check that out, this will be going on YouTube, of course, because I don't need this for Rumble. I could put it on Rumble. I think I might. So if you are on Rumble watching this and you would like to see the YouTube version of this, it's mostly audio that you will see, except for this part, right? Just check us out on YouTube. The link is in the description field. And again, if you want to check out Black Magic Talk, you can check that out too, where we talk everything pagan and Wiccan. There is no evil or black magic, of course. It's all great fun, and we have a good time. If you like a personal tarot reading from me, click the link in the description field below. I can get you my, my pricing and stuff. If you would like to be a guest on the Black Magic Talk, or if you'd like to be on Pro Wrestling Talk, you can DM me on X. My X is in the description field for both Black Magic Talk and for Curt Hennig podcast. Go ahead and hit those in the description field and DM me, and feel free to ask if you'd like to be a guest. If there's anything else, concerns, or if you would like to just give feedback, you can always DM us on X and so on. Just want to mention my Cash App and my PayPal account are in the description field. If you can give to the show, great. If not, please enjoy the show. That's what we are mainly here for, just for your entertainment purposes only. And again, I will reiterate that the AI outro song is AI generated. That is for everyone, for Rumble and for YouTube. Also, there could be an AI intro song. Just want to let you know that if there's ever an intro song, it is AI generated on YouTube. I created a couple of songs here and there, a couple of country songs I think that Curt would like. So I hope you check those out. And remember, everyone, nobody beats Mr. Perfect or Curt Hennig. Nobody.
I remember those nights in the TV glow, watching you a hero in the ring. With every match, you'd steal the show, making us believe in impossible things. Golden locks and a confident stride, wrestling through battles both big and small. With a perfect plex, you turned the tide. Mr. Perfect, you had it all. Oh, Mr. Perfect, where'd you go? In our hearts, you still steal the show. In a world that's moved too fast, your legacy's meant to last. Behind the glitz and all the fame was a man with strength and grace. Though we never knew your name, you left a mark time can erase. I can still hear that entrance theme echoing through arenas and TV screens. A legend in his prime and dream, you remain in all our scenes. Oh, on the nights when stars glow bright, I think of you and you feel this fight. Gone too soon, but still inside. Mr. Perfect, you are a guiding light. Oh, Mr. Perfect, where'd you go? In our hearts, you still steal the show. In a world that's moved too fast, your legacy's meant to last. Oh, Mr. Perfect, where'd you go? In our hearts, you still steal the show. In a world that's moved too fast, your legacy's meant to last. Behind the glitz and all the fame was a man with strength and grace. Though we never knew your name, you left a mark time can't erase. Though we never knew your name, you left a perfect, you were a guide.